Good morning. Welcome to Foundations for Change. I'm Janine Zagel and have for the better part of my life been interested in and involved with not-for-profit organizations, and I'm pleased this morning. We're delighted and grateful to have some wonderful people with us. First of all, I'd like to introduce the lady. We have Shamira Simpson from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and then we're delighted to have Dave and Ken, Dave Mansfield and Ken Murnane from Widow's Sons. Welcome this morning. We're very pleased to see you. So Shamira, we'd first like to chat to you a little bit. If you could tell us about your organization, your own involvement with the organization, and a little bit about the background.
Yeah, I'm the Eastern Massachusetts Area Director for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I oversee the Greater Boston chapter. We are a national volunteer-driven health organization with a focus on saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide. We are one of 80 chapters across the United States. Again, we are volunteer-driven.
Wow.
With 80 chapters managed by only 35 field staff. Many of our chapters are run by volunteer boards, and our Greater Boston chapter has 2 full-time staff and a board of directors who oversee the work and help us accomplish our mission here. We do education programming. We help to fund research nationally, last year giving $4 million to research to help prevent suicide across the country and around the world, really. We advocate on behalf of mental health issues. We visit our state house once a year and our nation capital every June with an advocacy day where we visit our legislators and congressmen and senators and ask them to support efforts in regards to suicide prevention, whether it's increasing funding or helping to provide additional resources and materials, look at mental health issues, reform. We try to get our legislators involved as much as possible.
That's so interesting. And your own chapter, you are for Eastern Massachusetts, right?
Eastern Massachusetts, so we are really Central Massachusetts, the Greater Boston area, and the Cape and Islands.
Wow.
We generate between $900,000 and $1 million locally here in the Greater Boston area, and we take half of the money that we raise and put it right back into our community with support services, education resources, materials, programs. We have a variety of education programs that we can bring to any company, school, educational resource completely free of charge to the community.
That's so interesting. And it's on that point with your involvement with the communities and intimately with the communities, not in a peripheral sense. From what I understand, you make a very real impact with the real people. And one of the people, organizations that you are affiliated to are, of course, Widow's Sons, who do fundraising, as I understand, and donate the funds to your organization. Could you just tell us a little about Widow's Sons?
Yes, the Widow's Sons is a motorcycle riding association. We have chapters in almost all 50 states, Canada, Ireland, England, South Africa, the Philippines, China, Mexico. Wow. We're a worldwide organization. Originally, the main purpose of the organization was actually to give relief to widows and orphans.
Yep.
And hence the name the Widow's Sons. We act as the sons of the widows to help them. Through each chapter, though, we also do individual charity work. And one of our main charities that we do is suicide prevention and awareness. And we got started 6 years ago with donating to the AFSP with our first Halloween ball.
Wow. I've seen some visuals of your Halloween ball. Can you tell us a little bit about that, how it started and what it is and how you've involved so many people?
Yep, so I'm a member of the Widow's Sons, and Ken is as well. And after we lost my cousin, Ken's son, Jake, the guys in the chapter actually thought it'd be really nice to do an event in commemoration of him. So when we lost Jake Murnane, we did the first annual Halloween ball. We put it together in about 2 weeks, and we raised $5,000 the very first night.
That's amazing.
And then it spawned in over 6 years, and just from the Halloween ball, we've raised $54,000 in the first 6 years just from the Halloween ball, and that's all, from everybody in the local community that's come out and support us every year.
That's remarkable. Ken, I wanted to ask you, you have a very personal experience with suicide in your family. And how do you, how has that motivated you? How have you felt about it? What happened? If you don't mind sharing that with us, because, to give a personal side to this, we all have experiences, but the personal experience as yours with somebody passing in that way has very many effects on oneself and the community, which I think perhaps you could speak to better than the rest of us.
Yeah, I wanted to get involved with the, because it was something that you never seen coming, that I never seen coming. I just didn't, and he was just back from college. He was, going back to college, supposed to go back to college from San Diego. And he probably had some personal problems out there, which I believe he did. And he, when he came back, it was just never, he was a happy person, one of the happiest people you ever, if you met him, you'd smile on his face all the time, and he always had a helping hand. He had a very kind heart. And you just never seen it coming, and it was devastating to me and my family. It was just devastating. The night it happened, I had a broken leg. I was in a motorcycle accident, so I had a broken leg, and I was kind of laid up. And we had dinner. He put a movie in. He actually had 2 movies. He goes, "Dad, watch this movie. It's hilarious. It's a good movie. You'll love it." And he put it in. And he went in the room and did it. Hung himself.
My.
And no note, no nothing. Just we had phone calls, people, his friends calling him, going, his phone was there, and then we went. Me and my wife, his door was locked, which he did a lot. He always locked his door because sometimes my grandkids would come over and go in and bother him, so he'd just sleep. And when it just. Again, we just kept getting phone calls, and I said, this is ridiculous. I literally stood up and punched the top of the door and broke it in half. And then we went in, it was like immediate relief because we didn't see him. And then when we turned around, we seen him hanging in the closet. It was it's an image that'll never get out of I can see it as if it happened right this minute. And just for him to think, it's just unbelievable when somebody's hurting like that, and you can't. It was. I'd walk into a fire for him. I would. I'd burn. It just. And knowing there's nothing I could do at that time, it's just horrible to think that somebody's going to go through that and not have no one they can actually turn to. You know what I mean? Or if recognize it, to be able to recognize it, and it's happened a lot now. Maybe I'm seeing it more now, and a lot of people have known that what happened with me and my family. So I have people calling me on a regular basis, asking for help, and it's just devastating. I really, all I was going to say was that. If you need help, just get it. You know what I mean? Don't be embarrassed. It's not this is something that people are sick. They need help.
Yep.
That's all it is. People think that it's a weakness, or it's you're a weak person for wanting to, if even talking like that. It's not the case at all. It's not the case at all. People need help. They're sick, and they should be able to get it without feeling bad about it.
Yeah, that's part of, I think, that we can all agree is the thing that people don't speak about it, and that in not speaking about it and making it something to be ashamed of, more or less, that's why people don't get the help they need, and we're not put in a position where we can help the people we love. And I've seen it and how that can be so hard for the family and the friends. How did I not see this? And it's just so hard.
And people think they did something wrong, and what did I do wrong? How did I do this? And it's one of the worst things. If somebody survives which people do survive it a lot, and you hear a parent going up to saying, "What did I do wrong for you to do this?" That's a stupid statement as well.
No, because it's not. There's actually an illness.
There is an illness, and I haven't been a practicing Catholic, but my family's an Irish Catholic
Yep.
family, and the local priest reached out to us, and it was nice. It was nice that he
Yeah.
reached out to us and to hear that even the Catholic Church has changed their opinion of that.
Yeah,
know what I
because they
mean?
used to be pretty.
They were, oh yeah, you couldn't. They were totally against it, but they've come to realize that it is, a sick person who needs help.
Yeah, and if you can actually just get to be in a place to cry out and to say something,
Absolutely.
and then people know how to help you as well,
Yeah.
would be a helpful thing. And that's where I'd like to speak to you now, Shamira, is you just have a brand new program, Talk Saves Lives.
We do.
And I think that would be the kind of thing that might have helped if everybody could be aware of that talking, if it would be possible, had been possible for him to speak to somebody, or if somebody had been able to recognize it and make it possible to him to speak. I've had people in my own life that that have passed in that way or endeavored to. Some of them even to the point where they attempted suicide but got severely injured, which is then this whole tragedy as well. And I think that the program that you've started, which enables and empowers communities, could you talk a bit about that for
There
us?
is such a stigma around mental health. We take our physical health so seriously,
Yes.
but our mental health really is just as important. And we have no problem asking our friend, how are you feeling, if it looks like they have the flu or a cold. But for some reason, we don't want to ask, how are you doing, when it looks like they might be experiencing a crisis or a mental health issue. And this Talk Saves Lives program really opens up the door for that. It's a 45-minute presentation that's perfect for the lay community, schools, churches, businesses, really anybody. We bring the program in for 45 minutes and talk about suicide prevention and mental health. How do you recognize some of the warning signs? What are some of the risk factors? How can we open that conversation and say, how are you feeling? Do you need help? Are you okay? Is there something I can help you with? And then how to get the right resources for that person if they are experiencing a crisis or aren't feeling well about themselves in that mental health capacity. AFSP Greater Boston Chapter provides this program to any and everyone free of charge. In the evening, as a lunch and learn for a company, we can come into a school, again, a church, really anywhere, and offer this program. As a volunteer-driven organization,
Wow.
we're also always looking for people to facilitate the program. Massachusetts is a big area, and so we would love for more people to join forces with this program, learn about it, and bring it into their local communities for us. And again, AFSP would sponsor all of the resources and any financial burden from it as well.
So, for instance, if there was a community in a church or a school or even a club that it could, or even say the VFW, somebody like that would invite you to come in, and you would then provide this course to enable the community to help each other.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
We're always
wonderful.
looking for locations to hold it.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because I think, as we've all discussed, how do you help somebody and how do you know to help somebody? I know with suicide or depression, often the person who is experiencing depression has a facade that's perhaps happier than most people and more caring than most people, like possibly your beloved. And I have experienced that, but that inside they're bleeding, and they don't feel they can talk about it. And if we maybe make it okay to talk about things, it would be great if our society could change.
One of the reasons this is really, really important as well is from our aspect as individuals, we
Yep.
will ask for help. One of the issues some people do have, though, with speaking out, is there's a big difference between suicide and suicidal.
Yeah.
And when people say that they're suicidal, and the immediate response is, oh, well, they need help. Oh, they just want attention.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just posturing. No, they're asking you for help. You need to know to take this seriously.
Yes.
And if you don't, as soon as they commit suicide, everyone goes, why didn't they ask for help? Well, when they did, they were shunned, made fun of.
Yep.
They were treated, poorly. And that's one of the things where when you go to these events, you want to make sure that, when somebody speaks out and they do mention that there is a risk, or there is even the slightest inclination that you do, help them in the right way and, give them positive reinforcement.
Yeah, yeah. It's absolutely, I agree with you. It's also in the society I was raised, it was kind of, are you tough enough? And that was it. But that's not the case. The whole thing is that we are all in a position through our experiences in life where it's not about that, it's about how we as individuals can deal with things and how society could help us if we were allowed to speak and not made to feel inferior by speaking. And that's the same with PTSD, which is something I have a strong relation to. The same with any young person. There's so much pressure on young people to perform, to be good at this, to be good at that. So for me personally, with all the ways people try and make themselves feel better eventually, drugs, alcohol, to try and fill that gap, and then maybe suicide because they can't fill the gap.
Yeah, and with what you were just saying about the younger people and the pressures, one other thing too on the education aspect that the AFSP does that we find very important is a lot of kids now with the bullying,
Yes.
they're being bullied in a way that parents and teachers didn't experience when they were younger because of the social media aspect
Yes.
and the internet. And one of the issues is the kids aren't bullying a person face to face. They're bullying a phone or a keyboard, and they're not seeing the ramifications on what this is doing because they're bullying an inanimate object.
Yeah.
It really needs to be taught now that when these kids are going through, it's hard to educate how to help them because we haven't experienced it the same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's easy to be mean if it's not face to face. You're just doing it.
And they become more mean, more ruthless, and it's
Dreadful, dreadful, dreadful. Talking about young people, you have this amazing walks that people do, college or students do. Can you tell us a bit about that?
The foundation's largest fundraiser is our Out of the Darkness walks, and we hold community walks in the fall. But in the spring, we support campus walks. And
wow.
In our area specifically, we have 7 campus walks coming up in April and May. They're hosted at either a high school or a college and are completely run by the students.
Wow.
So we have one in your backyard here in Andover that will take place in April, and the walk is completely coordinated by 2 high school seniors.
That's
They'll
amazing.
promote for the walk, they'll recruit people to sign up, they'll get all of their own water and food donations, they'll run all of the registration, everything for the day, and we anticipate that they'll raise about $5,000 this year.
Oh, now, if we want to donate to that, or if there are other young people that would like to start something like that, we will be running all your information at the end of this program.
Yes.
Could they just contact you?
They can contact me directly, and then we always have information available at our website, which is www.afsp.org. There's a link right on the front to look into walks, and you can look it up by state and find a location closest to you. But if anybody's interested in hosting a walk, they can definitely reach out to me directly, and I can get anybody started.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. The other thing I wanted to talk to you folks about is you have some rides coming up.
Yep, we're going to be doing another motorcycle ride. It'll be our 3rd one in the late summer, early fall.
Yep.
We have to nail down a location. And we also support our local family, the Butler family, who is on their 3rd year of a suicide prevention motorcycle run. Last year, we actually, as a group, got to set up the ride for them and run the ride through town. The town had police escorts. They had the roads blocked off for us as we came through. We went to the graveyard to stop and visit their son, Stephen. We actually got to stop by and visit Jake. So it's nice. We go to the graveyard, say a few words, and then head back to the event. But that event, I think they raised close to $12,000 for that event.
Wow.
And we raised $12,000 at our event, and that's 2 local families in just this one town.
That's remarkable. That's remarkable. You had something you mentioned something about the ride?
The biggest thing is the ride is the ride is one aspect of what we do. Kenny's daughters They did the walk the past couple of years to raise
Yes.
money. I'm competing in my second half marathon for the AFSP.
Tell us about that. Tell us about the half marathon. That's very brave. But
Yep.
you're a trainer, aren't you?
I do manage a
fitness
local
trainer.
gym called Choice Fitness, and they're actually
Yeah.
fantastic. They let me do all my event sponsorships and stuff right in the gym. And
Wonderful.
Where it's a great community thing and everyone's into fitness. They
Could you
support
tell
me.
us again where you work? Maybe we can talk
It's
about
called Choice
yeah.
Fitness in Chelmsford, Mass.
Oh, wonderful. And they'll give you the
Yep, they let me advertise my events for suicide prevention and my charity work inside the gym.
wonderful.
Which is great because it pulls in a lot of the local community and gym.
Oh,
members.
that's wonderful. And you're running? Have you been training? And what
I have.
marathon is it? Can you tell us
Yep,
about
it's
it?
the John Kelly Half Marathon on Memorial Day weekend. I did it 2 years ago, which was my first time. And we actually used a motorcycle run, our very first run, to help raise the money for Fund That. So my personal goal is to raise $3,000 as an individual for the run. There's 15 bibs that they get.
Yeah.
So even if everyone raised the bare minimum of $1,500, that's
Wow.
a great donation.
Wow.
I'd like to set the bar a little higher though.
And tell us now, how can anybody donate to you? How can we support you in the run? As
We'll have a link and I'll be able to send that to you. So at the end of the show, you'll be able to put the direct link to be able to come on and donate right to the event.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then we want to see you. We want to see you. We must, if you can send us some pictures of
We
you.
can definitely send some pictures.
Please, and your
I would
colleagues.
like to do better than I did a couple years ago. I got hurt
Oh, no.
at the last race and I finished in just under 3 hours though.
Well,
I was one of the last finishers, but I finished.
well, and you were injured.
Yes.
So that's
I
perfect.
finished.
Wonderful, wonderful.
But it's a great time.
Oh, that's fantastic. I wanted to ask you also, you folks do the run in the motorcycle run, and then you also do the last Saturday, the third Saturday in October.
Yes, that is our biggest event, and that's really the Widow Sons and Kenny's entire family, my entire family, the Murnane family is really just, we all come together and we planned it out for a year, and it's a lot of work that goes into it, but I mean,
Yeah,
just
tell us all about it.
just that 1 year, we did 5,000 for the first year, 8,000 for the second year, 7,000 for the third year, 10,000 on the fourth year, 11,000 on the fifth year, and this past year we've raised 13,000. So
Wow.
54,000, and if you add on our bike runs, even without the other family, just ours, that's 68,000 in 6 years we've raised.
Now, this is
That's the
remarkable.
walk. My daughter talk.
This is remarkable because it's just two families that have decided to become involved.
Well, he is part of my family. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know that.
No, and I mean, it's an amazing thing that just by you gentlemen putting your minds to it, through something that touched you, you've done so much good.
And I don't want to speak for Ken, but I mean, I will.
Yeah.
It doesn't make life better after losing Jake, but knowing that we've helped people and knowing that lives have been saved definitely helps make things better. And for people who don't want to talk about it and they don't want to deal with it, going out and helping other people in the community, it doesn't make it better, but it definitely helps. Shutting
that's
it in and being an
wonderful.
individual and dealing with it. When you realize there's other people who've dealt with it and they know what
Yes.
you're going through
Yes.
and you can talk to them, it's a relief.
Definitely. It's really wonderful. One of the other, I wanted to ask you about that, also sharing with so many people. You have this wonderful upcoming thing in May, an event, the Sip in the Park, that also shares then more broadly with people?
Yep, it's a public event. We host the event at Fenway Park in the EMC Club.
Wow.
We have a live and silent auction for the event, and this year we'll have food and wine pairings and a signature cocktail. We also do a paddle raise where we ask for donations to help support some of the work that we're doing here locally. It is a fantastic night. Dave came last year, and Ken's been to the event as well.
Oh, good.
But it is really fantastic. We have about 200 people attend the event, and the event raises around $100,000 each year. And again, we're able to bring that money to fund resources and education programs right here in our estate.
Isn't that wonderful? It's really fantastic. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is, how does the research work? Just briefly, the research that you donate to. I know that you donate, that your chapter gives half to your head office, so to speak, every year.
So we have a public policy office, and our national staff really does the research of what we want to fund each year. So we do send our money to the national office, and then they decide what they're going to fund, which initiatives. And we give grants. So we have researchers across the country who can apply for specific grants from the foundation. And we award these grants, and they do a variety of research on the causes of different mental health, like biological aspects, and really what we can do to prevent suicide. We actually fund a grant here at Harvard to a gentleman named Matthew Knock, who also participates in a lot of our events locally.
Oh, wonderful.
And he has a relatively significant grant of $1 million, which is really fantastic.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then we do have opportunities to host research connections in various communities, where we will invite some of our researchers to come and present the research that they've done, the findings, and what we can do with that to move our efforts forward to prevent suicide in the future. Our organization set a very lofty goal to reduce the suicide rate in the United States by 20% by the year 2025. So
Wow.
research is obviously very important
It
to
is.
accomplishing that goal, and then our education efforts as well.
Oh, that's interesting. That's wonderful. So if you'd like to, just we have a few seconds left. Any last request?
Yeah, I would just like to say, if you do come in contact with somebody who's, suicide survivor, and, don't ever stop checking in on them and seeing how they're doing. We did lose a nice young gentleman named Kevin a year ago. He came to one of our rides. He spoke. He talked about how he was so happy that he didn't die the night he tried committing suicide, and his wife found him. And after a couple months, he seemed great, so happy. And then, we lost him one night where he hung himself in a barn. And, just because they're not better, it's still a mental
Yeah.
illness. There's still things you need to watch out for.
Yeah.
And, it's a big thing is the positive reinforcement
Yeah.
from the public, from
Yeah.
friends, from family. That really goes a long way.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and so valuable what you do. Thank you so much for sharing your personal story. It's very hard to start to do that in one's life. So I want to thank you so much for your time this morning and for sharing with us. And I hope we can chat again sometime. And I want to see the pictures of your marathon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.